Peace be upon you, and welcome back to Atlas Case Unlocked. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. As always, without any delay, let's dive straight into today's true crime story. A mysterious case that took place in one of the towns of Morocco. A case investigated by the Royal Gendarmerie. Now, right after the intro. Let's get into it. The case we're diving into today is one of the most disturbing files from the Moroccan Royal Gendarmerie. It begins near the city of Settat in 2002. Now, I must be upfront. I don't have a physical police report or official court documents for this case. My entire narrative is based on a trusted, first-hand oral account from a close friend, a man who was intimately familiar with the investigation from start to finish. I usually avoid stories based purely on verbal accounts, but the details in this case are simply too shocking and too important to ignore. My friend, let's call him a local, had a close relationship with a farmer in the Settat area, a man around 42 or 43 years old. This farmer constantly spoke about his elder brother, the eventual victim, who was about 57 years old and married to 2 women. The farmer was seeking his inheritance, and this subject was always a source of great stress. He often told my friend, "My brother is avoiding me. I just want my fair share. I'm 43 and still haven't settled down or married." He described a complicated relationship. The elder brother had practically raised him after their father died young. But now, when he brought up money, the older man would become instantly angry and dismissive. The victim's brother was hesitant to take his elder brother to court, not because he was afraid, but because he believed his brother was being manipulated. He revealed a dark secret: the older brother's second wife. He said she was like a termite who had infested his brother's life. This man, known to be a strong, powerful personality, had suddenly become weak, neglecting his first wife and children. The family believed it was due to witchcraft or black magic, constantly seeing her visiting seers and soothsayers. The brother recounted the victim's decline. "My brother's health is deteriorating rapidly. He's shrinking before my eyes. People tell me they see that woman, my brother's wife, with other men." His greatest fear was that this woman was literally poisoning him slowly. Their entire family had opposed the marriage. The victim met her, a known woman of the night, and she became pregnant out of wedlock. He defied his entire family to marry her. She was the love of his life. She would become his demise. The narrative suddenly shifts. One day, the farmer received shocking news from the local post office. "Basta. Your brother is here," they said, "but he is in a terrible, strange condition. We think he might be dead." By chance, a doctor was at the post office and immediately confirmed. The man was deceased and his injuries were suspicious. They called the gendarmerie. When the police arrived, they found a small crowd gathered around a horse-drawn cart. Lying inside was the victim, covered by old cloth. He was not only dead but visibly beaten. His nose was broken and had been bleeding profusely. There were bruises across his forehead and jawline. The scene was bizarre. The people who brought him were the second wife, her younger brother, and the victim's small daughter. The wife claimed, "This is my husband. He wanted me to take him to the post office to withdraw some money. We met my brother on the way and brought him along. He died en route." But the gendarmerie and the doctor immediately saw this was no natural death. The victim had clearly been assaulted. The police detained the wife and her brother. The initial medical report confirmed the victim had died a violent death, ruling out natural causes. The report detailed an injury to the head, massive internal bleeding in the brain, likely caused by a blunt object or repeated, severe blows to the head, leading to the bleeding that had seeped into his nasal passages. Crucially, the forensic pathologist added a chilling detail. The victim had traces of slow-acting poison in his system, a poison designed to destroy the kidneys and weaken the body over time. This directly validated the farmer's suspicions. The wife had been systematically poisoning him for years. With the autopsy report damning them, the investigation shifted from mere suspicion to definitive murder. The two suspects maintained their denial under questioning by the police. But when the case was transferred to the investigating judge, a point where suspects realize the prosecution has irrefutable evidence, the brother finally cracked. The wife's brother confessed to the entire sequence of events. He recounted visiting his sister and the victim, his brother-in-law, that day. The wife started arguing with the victim over money, yelling, "We're living like beggars. You have money in the post office." The victim, who was already frail and mostly bedridden, snapped back, "I'll give my money to my children from my first wife, the woman who was good to me." In a rage, the wife struck the victim in the face. The victim, in a moment of desperate resistance, reached for a glass. That was the trigger. The wife's brother claimed, "I got up and finished him off." He and his sister then proceeded to brutally beat the fragile man. They put the severely injured, semi-conscious man in the cart. The wife insisted they still had to go to the post office to get his money. As they traveled through the isolated fields, the victim began to moan and cry out, pleading, "They are stealing my fortune. Help me." The brother admitted he repeatedly beat the victim on the head with his bare knuckles, hitting him over and over, telling him to shut up, until the man finally lost consciousness and died. They arrived at the post office with the body, hopping to use his ID to withdraw his savings before anyone realized he was dead. The wife and her brother were formally charged with murder. Despite the poison and the years of abuse, they were convicted for the brutal beating that caused his death and the scheme to steal his money. In the end, the court delivered its sentence: 30 years in prison for the wife's brother, the primary assailant, and 20 years in prison for the second wife. A lifetime of hard-earned wealth, a powerful family legacy, all destroyed by a marriage rooted in defiance and ending in a calculated, brutal betrayal.